Welcome to the Bamboo Method, investing in the unseen. They say good things come to those who wait, but in a convenience-driven world, patience can sometimes feel impossible. But the reality is that anything worth building usually takes time. So we're here to ask, what are the things worth putting in the time and investing in, even if we don't see the results for a long time? Today's guest is Luke Anderson, an entrepreneur, coach, and father who's learned that success isn't just about growth, it's about balance. Luke is the third-generation operator of Truckers Prorate Service, who helps keep hardworking truckers compliant and on the road, and also a personal and business coach, helping entrepreneurs achieve more in a sustainable way. In this episode, we talk about keeping faith and family at the center, balancing ambition and staying present, and attaining success without losing sight of what matters most.
Luke, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Excited about this conversation.
Likewise.
As you know, we live in a culture that is driven by convenience, and it's easy to become a part of that.
Yes.
But we want to keep pushing towards the things that last and the things that are worth investing in.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, in your personal life, this could be something in the past or something current. What do you or have you invested in that took a while to see the fruit?
Yeah, I was looking at that question, and then there's so many different ways I could answer it because, I could go the parent route, I could go the marriage route, I could go the whatever. Yeah. But I think the best way I can answer it, and you can tell me if we need to dive in further, I'm happy to. But I think the biggest investment that I've ever made in myself that either takes a long time for fruit to show up or I haven't seen the fruit yet, I think it's a combination of both,
Sure.
is foundations.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is foundations are in my life, in my business, and it goes all the way back to what we were talking about with alignment, right? Like, who am I based upon what I value, right? And to take it a step further, to determine what I value, I have to understand where those values come from, right? Am I going to take values from the world? Am I going to take values from a mentor? Am I going to take values from my parents? Am I going to take values from school? Am I going to take them from God and the Bible? Like, where am I going to get those values from? So understanding who I am, and as a believer of Christ, like that's where I choose to put my beliefs in, as well as where I choose to get my values from.
Yeah.
So then if I understand who I am in Christ and what he calls me to value, now I have a framework for what I value. That then builds my identity, which from there I can now build characteristics and character traits that now establish my foundation, if that makes sense. As far as investment goes, that's not just like some, that's a nice thought, Luke. Like it's not like a just pleasantry, if that makes sense. It requires time, it requires money, it requires intentionality, it requires sacrifice on a consistent basis. But that investment into the foundations of life through that avenue that I just described, that literally affects everything else because it becomes the lens in which I look at everything through and make decisions on.
Yeah.
But because it's not a tangible, like I invested in this, in this property as an example, it's not a tangible. It's sometimes can take a while to see results. It can take time to see like I said, with parenting, it takes time before you see your kids' personality and behavior really show and solidify. You parent for years before you know how they're going to turn out, as an example.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the undergrowth, if you will, side of it. So as far as like broad, like what do I invest in? I would say foundations.
What does that look like to invest in it tangibly? What do you do to invest in that?
Yeah. So there's several different things that I think that includes. For me personally, that includes a lot of time in I almost said isolation, but I just recently learned that there's a difference between solitude and isolation.
Sure.
But I investing time to be alone with my own thoughts, I think is really where it starts.
Yeah.
And then accompany that with prayer.
Yeah.
And that is necessary for anything that we do, I think. Otherwise, you're just being reactionary.
Yeah.
And I've done that for a lot of years, and reactionary typically does not yield the results anybody wants. So how do I be proactive is really from a tangible side, like no matter what we're talking about, how do I be as proactive as possible?
Yeah.
And we have to get quiet and we have to be in our own head for a minute
Yeah.
And for some of us, if you're like me, sometimes that can be a scary and uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons, right?
Yes.
But there's a level of discipline there that only comes with consistently practicing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so time, prayer, and then time in relationship.
Okay.
So so like I mentioned, I'm married. So my partner in life is my wife, and we have a lot of time together. Like we have built that into our life where we are checking in with each other a lot, and we're processing with each other, and we have gone through different tangible resources like counseling, conferences, leadership conferences, marriage conferences, read books together, listening to podcasts together, watching video, all of that, finding mentors together and apart. So those are a lot of different tangibles that we've done apart and together, but then we bring it all together in our little round table, the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about things, we process things, and we make sure that we're in alignment in making decisions and what direction that we need to go.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And I think that kind of summarizes it. Like I can keep going, but that's like the start. And in my mind, that's the starting point as far as like, what do you tangibly do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I mean, I think you spoke to a couple of powerful things that are incredibly, they can be really impactful, but they're really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Solitude.
Mm-hmm.
That is a tough one.
Yeah. Especially in, like you said, in today's culture where everything is like right now, I want it right now. Like, and you mentioned microwaves. I want to microwave my success. I want to microwave everything.
Absolutely. We want it now. And who's got time to be quiet?
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
And I also think sitting with your own thoughts.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a scary thing at times. One thing I'm curious about, what have been some of the biggest obstacles in trying to set up those foundations, and how do you overcome them? Or how are you working to overcome them?
Mm-hmm. The number one biggest hurdle or thing to overcome is myself. And I don't say that to be cutesy or cliche or anything like that. Like it's just man, I am so good at freaking sabotaging myself. Especially with some different health dynamics that have been a reality for me the last 10 years or so now. Specifically what I mean by that is like, I know personally, but like, I had a traumatic brain injury from a car accident, and that has brought about physical realities neurologically that require me to go against my nature or go against what I think is my nature of like hustle, grind, just work harder, do it like Granny did. It was a big, she was like my entrepreneurial like role model, and she had the mentality of like, I will just outwork everybody. But physically my body shuts down and I can't. So I think that's number one, the biggest hurdle is overcoming like, okay, I don't have to just like blunt force work through it. I have to actually be able to sit, be with myself, be with God, be able to take time to figure out, okay, if this isn't the path to just blunt force work through it, what is the path? Because there has to be a way forward. There has to be a way to be able to be better. So if it's not just outwork everybody in the room, pull a Dwayne Johnson, like just outwork, be the hardest worker in the room. Cool. If that's not an option, what is the other option? Whether that's business, whether that's work, whether that's relationally or fitness or whatever, like what do I need to do different? So I think that's been the biggest hurdle, is just being able to be with myself and to be able to be like, okay, I can't do it the way I want to, but how is the way forward that is actually sustainable? I think that's the number one. The other one is, I would say, is learning how to another big one anyway, is learning how to navigate that balance of relationship, especially being married. When you take the stance, I'll say it this way, when you take the stance that marriage is not 50-50, it's 100-100, that changes everything. Because now you are truly life partners. You are doing you are moving together as one unit. And that takes a lot of time and intentionality and a lot of grace for both parties. So I say that as that, I don't want to call it a hurdle, but it can be. As for growth, it absolutely can be. And I know people don't like to admit that, but I would say that's a big one. It allows you to go further. But it can be in the short term, in the spirit of when we're talking about short-term wise. It's definitely a hurdle.
Absolutely. One final question before we move on to the next question is,
yes,
how have you discovered the ability to decipher between when you engage more willpower and push through. There's a level of resilience that I think is important to develop, of discipline, of grit, of just push through, and when to be like, oh, this is a moment I gotta step back and listen to my body and recognize when no margin is what's needed here. You understand the question?
I do. Yeah. Negative feedback. Like if you've ever heard the concept of like a negative feedback loop, right? So that's how we get better, right? So one of the ways that I heard it from a mentor one time is like, if you're trying to grab a pencil on the table and you see the pencil, you just can just grab it. Like you see it, you can feel it, like it's right there. But if you close your eyes and you don't know where it is on the table, you're going to put your hand down and chances are it's not going to land on there the first time. So that's a negative feedback of like, nope, it isn't there. Move my hand. Nope, it's not there. Nope, it's not there until you find it. A process of elimination, right? So with health, as well as relationally, as well as financially, as well, whatever, you can plug in literally anything there. We all learn, regardless what it is, from negative feedback. Now, that's not the same as like somebody just like coming at you and it could be, I suppose, like, throwing slurs at you and, cussing you out or whatever. But what I mean by that is like, okay, if I push too hard, to your question, if I push too hard, maybe I don't know that until I have pushed too hard. Prime example. Yesterday, you and I and Wade were supposed to have a meeting and I had to cancel.
Yep.
That was because the previous 3 days I had pushed myself too hard, and I woke up the morning of our meeting and realized if I push again, because of previous experiences, I know this will be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. And I may already be at that point because of certain symptoms I'm feeling like physically and physiologically. So I know because I've pushed too hard. I've been in moments like that where I've been like, it'll be fine. I'll just keep going. And then I end up in the ER because I blacked out and ended up on the other side of the city and, didn't know how I got there and my car is in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Like, like things like that. Like, so
is that a real story?
That is a real story. Yes.
That's epic.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done that multiple times.
Gosh.
Yeah. So yeah, we can go into that if you want, but that is a real story. But that's because I have that context from those negative feedbacks, from those negative experiences. I know this is my cue because of how it feels. And based upon here's history, this is as far as I can go right now.
Yeah.
I can't push further right now. I need to enact some different protocols and routines. Right. So it's on the health side, but it's the same principle of like in marriage or whatever. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
How does failure come into play? So you say negative feedback.
Yep.
You learn more from not feeling the pencil about where the pencil is than not feeling it all. How does failure come into play in learning? Failure is not pleasant, and I think it's very easy to avoid failure because it's not fun. How do you incorporate that in how you learn and grow?
Yeah, well, you have to accept that as failure. Like that's first, you have to accept it at first and being willing to embrace that you are going to fail. I saw actually just yesterday, I saw a quote from Jordan Peterson that said, people aren't worried about success or worried about succeeding. They're worried about whether they fail or not. I'm like, oh man, that kind of hit deep. Like I feel that one. But to your question, Wade, yeah, you have to acknowledge that failure is just gonna be a part of it, no matter what you do. Whether you're, Sam, I love to lift. So like lifting, it's a part of it. Marriage, it's a part of it. Raising kids, it's a part of it. Homeschooling, it's a part of it. Business, it's a part of it. Not eating that donut, being on a diet, it's a part of it. You're going to fail. When you accept that, the next acceptance you need to have is, what can I learn from it? Or can I learn from it?
Yeah.
And that's not is there something to learn? Because there is something to learn there. It's, will I allow myself to learn?
Absolutely.
That's another thing I learned from my granny. She's like, always be learning.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I think that's a key thing though, is am I going to allow myself to learn from this?
Yes.
Because the learning process isn't easy.
Right.
And I think that points back to scripture.
Yeah.
James says, consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Yes.
Let perseverance finish its work. That you may be, it's like, let this, whatever is hard, finish its work on you. I mean, you could just be like, I'm going to I'm just going to move on.
Right.
I'm going to avoid it, whatever it would be. But
yeah,
I think that's a defining
it's absolute
growth
scriptural
model that you have to choose to partake of. Am I going to let this refine me and learn from it and keep going?
Yeah.
Am I going to reach for the pencil again? And am I going to use that data? Or am I going to reach to the same spot and hope it's still there?
Yes.
Or hope that it moved?
Now we get into Einstein.
Doing that. I mean, how many times in life
do
we keep reaching for the same spot thinking the pencil's going to be there? It's like, if I do it this time, maybe it'll be there.
Yep.
It's the same thing over and over again, and it's
you
not
do
there.
The same thing expecting different results. It's what is that? The definition of insanity.
Einstein. Absolutely. It's very true. Yet here we are as human beings, and that's a common method.
It is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, it is. Like I told you, I'm sometimes a little stubborn, and I've done that before.
Yeah, I think we could spend a lot of time, I'm sure, talking about.
Oh, I could talk about. I could dive down so many rabbit holes on that.
Indeed,
rabbit trails. But
I am curious, for the sake of
keep us focused.
What we're here for. I want to hear about professionally.
Yes.
What are the things that you've had to be patient with, continue to nurture, and put time and investment into, knowing that eventually it's going to bring results?
Yeah. I would say, again, I could say self, of course. But in business, so much of business is, I'm thoroughly convinced, is relationships. I've spent a lot of time investing in relationships.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of relationships that I know someday will monetize, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to sound like insensitive because but you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
There's a lot of relationships that I've invested in.
Yeah.
In human capital, if you will. One, because I just absolutely love people.
Yeah.
I truly do. And I consider so many of them my friends and love doing life with them where it's applicable. It takes a lot of investment on the relationship side. Yep. And then I would say skill set wise, that's the other one where it's like investing time and money into building specific skill sets. And sometimes that just takes a long time to get good at something. You know, what is it like? It's like 10,000 or 12,000 hours to
10,
master
000.
something. Yeah. 10,000 hours.
What skills are you grateful that you've spent time investing in? Can you identify any?
I would say probably the biggest one that I am grateful for investing in is the skill to understand people. I don't know if there's a better way of saying that, but to like really connect and relate with people.
Yeah.
Like on a human element, that has served me in everything.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying I'm like at all, like I'm not like, a Tony Robbins or anything like that who can just like seemingly connect with everybody.
Yeah.
But having the ability to understand people's motivation, understand psychology, understand the physiological, that's come from like my own journey of understanding like, well, how was I behaving when I was not feeling well?
Yeah.
That type of thing. So just understanding people better.
Yeah.
I don't know of a better way of putting it than that, but just understanding people better is by far the best skill I've ever invested in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is one of your jobs, right?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
And it's clear that you've spent a lot of time working on understanding yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think that plays into that skill?
Absolutely.
How does that play into it?
The thing that just came up for me on that is, I think the number one thing is emotions, understanding my own emotions, because that's kind of a gateway to how somebody's thinking. So if you can understand what they might be emotionally thinking, like understanding the empathy side of like, what are they potentially thinking or what are they feeling? Excuse me. That will give you kind of a window into their soul a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is something that I had to learn for myself
to
understand how I was feeling.
Yeah.
So as an example, anger is a secondary emotion. So when I'm feeling angry, well, yes, it's an emotion. We learned that from Inside Out. And one of my favorite movies of all time. Anyway,
great movie.
But anger is a secondary emotion. So if I understand that, if I'm angry, immediately that tells me, okay, there's something else going on.
Yeah.
Because I'm not angry for no reason.
Yeah.
As just an example. So if you see somebody angry, okay, why is somebody angry?
Yeah.
There's something below that.
Absolutely.
Right? That's maybe a little bit of a basic one, but that understanding those types of tics in people comes from, I had to understand them in myself first.
Absolutely.
And it's not like, I understand them, I have now arrived. Because nobody does. Like nobody does. So it's not only do I have to understand how it applies to me, I have to understand how it applies to me now.
Yeah.
But I have to continue learning and continue to invest in my understanding of human psychology and how emotions work and what does the Bible say about it and how does it interact in the world and what does history say, blah, 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 blah. so that I can be more prepared to understand it when I'm at a different version of myself or at a different stage of life.
Yeah.
Because it changes.
Yeah.
Because how I understand myself now is different than how I understood myself a week ago.
Yeah.
And it'll be different than how I understand myself next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, I feel like emotions are the way that we actually know people, right?
Yeah.
Like I can know everything about you. I can know your history. I can know that you had an injury, that you run 2 businesses. I could put all that on paper.
Yep.
That's just knowing about you. Right. I don't know Luke until I know what makes you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you laugh, what makes you get excited, what makes you afraid. That's when I truly know a person, is all the emotions.
Exactly.
Which can be labeled as like good or bad, but I think emotions they just are. Yeah. And it's a piece of who we are and how we express ourselves. And once you can understand a bit more of that, and I just hear more like this curiosity, like what's going on there, which can help you connect as opposed to judge or make assessments about and kind of manipulate.
That's a really good way to a really good point to differentiate on what we're talking about, because there's a lot of people that want to know so that they can manipulate. Exactly. They're not doing it to understand, to connect for the purpose of connecting. Yes. They're doing it for the purpose of manipulation. Yes. Or for the purpose of justifying themselves or whatever. Yep. Right. But I love it for the sense of connecting.
Absolutely.
Because if I can understand even just a little bit about what somebody's feeling, like I said, it's the gateway into their soul. Yeah. And maybe they're not giving me the key to every door. Yeah. They're not giving me all the keys to the kingdom, so to speak. Yeah. But if they're letting me in the entryway, at least, like, cool. Like now we have a different level of connection because now I'm in the front door. Yeah. Or now I'm in their living room, so to speak. Right. Yeah. And now it just becomes fun because now you get to like learn about people and experience people in a new way. And then you find collaborate on the business side, tying it back there. Now that's where collaborations come from. Yep. That's where the scene, okay, does it make sense for us to work together as a client-provider relationship, or does it make sense to partner together if it's like you and Wade are partners, right? So that didn't happen until, just like, you seem cool. Yeah, you seem cool. Let's be partners. Yeah. Because you wouldn't know if they were cool or not unless that all took place. Yeah. Unless you could understand a little bit of each other, of truly who each other were, to get like, okay, now I'm in the front door. Yep. I'm in the living room. Now we're having dinner together. Like, that type of thing. Like absolutely. The different level of intimacy in a relationship. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey everyone, Wade here. Before we get to the final question, if you like the show so far and want to hear more, you can support the Bamboo Method on Patreon. There you can listen to the full director's cut of this conversation and help make this show possible.
So here I am. I've been in the business for about a year. And I started having these symptoms of like, I'd wake up, like I'd be driving to like an appointment or back from an appointment. And then the next thing I know, there's cars honking at me. I'm in the like kittywampus in the middle of an intersection. The time of day has changed.
Oh my gosh.
And like, I'm in a section of town that I don't know how I got there. And like, I don't recognize where I am. That happened probably about a half a dozen times before I told my wife.
Oh my gosh.
We found a specialty clinic and they're like, okay, we know what's going on with you. Here's what's going on. You have 6 months to live. Best case scenario, you'll be dead in 6 months. Worst case scenario, you'll be a vegetable.
Well, finally, I'd love to hear, what are you nurturing that you need to give up?
Yes.
That you wish you weren't.
I was thinking about that when I saw that question. I go, what a great question, and what a hard one to answer, because then it requires you to be honest with yourself and sit with it, right?
Yeah.
What I had been fostering until very recently was perpetuating survival mode. And what that looked like was, again, going back to some of the themes that I've talked about, where I've been trying in the past when I've tried to control everything and hold on really, really tight, things just stall out. Things just, whether it's financial, whether it's relational, whether it's physical, whatever. And then that perpetuates just surviving, like, or another way of putting it, the hustle and grind culture, right? But for me, I have caught myself this year, and specifically out of the last 3 years, I identified just within the last few weeks. I'm like, okay, I have been not just in survival mode, but actually actively nurturing it. And like, because it's actually become a comfortable place that's known. Yeah. In different areas of my life.
Yeah.
And my wife and I were actually processing through it just the other, I guess it was a week or 10 days ago. And we came to this realization when we were talking about our lifestyle and what we were classifying as comfortable and what we were classifying as survival mode. And, we're considering a couple of different lifestyle changes. And we're like, well, we don't want to go into complacency or into like old rhythms and habits that just get us comfortable and in survival mode. And then when we defined it, we identified that we already were there. And true story, I had to stop and I started crying, and I'm getting emotional about it just right now. I almost vomited. Like I've never had that level of feeling where like, when people talk about like a punch in the gut, I thought I understood what that meant until that moment. It like physically it hurt. And I like changed to a different shade. And I literally was like, hold on. And I was like dry heaving, like, and trying not to vomit all over my car.
Yeah.
Like, it was a horrible realization.
Yeah.
And because I realized that we were there because I had been perpetuating it. I had been nurtured, to use your word, I had been nurturing that place of survival.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that anymore.
Heck no. Yeah. Let's not do it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you think about investing in yourself and those foundations, as a result, what's the fruit that you've seen because you've done that?
Yeah. So on the personal side, the fruit, the biggest fruit that has come out of that has been my children, who they are and how they behave. Like, this is going to be one of those moments where people are going to be like, oh, this is a parent just bragging on his kids. And yes, I am.
To, right?
Gosh darn it. Yes, I am.
Okay.
But I can say with all 100% sincerity and honesty, it is not weird to us when people multiple times a day are coming up to us and be like, wow, your kids are amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, your kids are so polite. Wow, your kids are so thoughtful. They're so helpful. As an example, my kids are in hunter safety right now, my two older boys, here in Billings. And so my dad took them last night, and he texted my mom, and she was relaying it to me, and she's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, this dad was like, oh, who are you with? And he told him, the kids' names. Oh, wow, those kids have been amazing all week.
Yeah.
They've been so helpful. Like, they help set up, they help tear down, they ask the most questions. They ask good questions. They're helping other kids out in the classroom. And my mom's like, oh, was that one of the instructors? She's like, no, it was just like some random dad. It's like, so I say that because that is the fruit of on the personal side. That's probably the best metric on personal that I can think of as far as how are my wife and I in marriage? How are we, what are we modeling to our kids? How are we parenting? How is the education going? Because that's the whole thing with homeschool. Like,
sure.
My favorite, we joke about it in the family, like, yeah, there goes our socially, unsocial kids, like they don't have enough social interaction in their life. And for those who don't know, I'm being sarcastic, but that's the best like barometer to know, like, on the personal side, are we doing okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that fruit that we're seeing there is incredible. Yeah. And I'm bragging on them. And by default, I guess a little bit on myself and my wife, but that's the fruit on the personal.
Well, that's what I'm asking you to do.
Yep.
And I can attest to that. We were with you guys.
That's right.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
And
we had a blast.
Oh man, it was a blast. And your kids are amazing. They're great kids. I can attest to the little bit that I've been around you and your family, which maybe isn't a little bit, but however much it is,
I know what you mean.
Everything you said, I would say is true.
Yes.
And I love that. What a great example.
Yeah.
And what a worthy thing to invest in.
Truly.
Part of the whole point that we want to talk about here is what is worth.
Yeah.
Giving time to wait to see the fruit. What is worth choosing to, if we're talking about an oven versus a microwave, what's worth putting in the oven and waiting to see it develop?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely, I think, kids in the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're literally called to prepare the next generation.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that's scripture. Mm-hmm. It's like that's part of what our purpose is.
Absolutely.
And anyway, I could go down that rabbit trail, but I totally agree with you. What absolutely. Is worth? I agree. Yeah. I think it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So professionally, you talk about the impact that, your foundations, investing in yourself, developing relationships, building skills, all of that plays into growth, and it's an investment. So I'm curious, what's the fruit that you have seen as a result of all that? And what's the fruit that you've seen professionally?
Yeah. So on the professional side, the fruit has been multifaceted. It's been relational for sure.
Sure.
I've made some of the best friends of my life in business and by going through all the things that we've been talking about, but made some amazing connections, not only for me, but for my family, but then financially. I mean, I've, with my health, my health stuff, it racked up a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Medical debt. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, when you add it all up. And when it's all said and done, financially being able to take care of that. And like, that's now in the past, and I'm only 34.
Yeah.
So it's only been, all, my relapses and everything like all happened within the decade and all of that debt. And I was able to recover and not work for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So like, there's a very tangible financial benefit to being able to develop that kind of income.
Yeah.
In order to stabilize the family financially.
Yeah.
Coming off of, major health stuff as an example. So I'd say relationships, I would say financial, I would say, kind of going back to the personal side, like it's helped me develop into a better version of myself, a better person.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm absolutely a better husband and father because of it, because I've just seen so many different walks of life that it just further helps clarify like the walk of life that we want and that we feel we're supposed to have. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the biggest fruit on the professional side, yes, relational, yes, financial, but the impact that comes from the professional as well. To me, that's a big deal, especially with talking about kids and things like that. And just having a heart for people in general, seeing how not only can the professional side, whether you're professional or business or work, like the type of value you provide can be very, very fulfilling.
Yeah.
And you get to do that. But then going back to the kids side, like they get to see that.
Yeah.
And it becomes all the way back, goes full circle into like, now you're helping prepare them in the way they should go because they're seeing how dad or how mom is adding value to the world.
Yep.
What, biblical or not, like that just is a good practice because if you're adding value, like we consider that culturally as like, you are what? A contributing member of society.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is like, okay, you are a model citizen if you're contributing to the betterment of humanity.
Yep.
And so if you are doing something that is paying you by default, unless you're like scamming somebody, but if you're doing it ethically, you're adding value to somebody's life.
Yeah.
And that's why you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So if you're getting paid and you're doing something ethically, you're adding value somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's just me, but I think that's a very beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think
and then the kids see that and then they learn and they go, okay, now I need to go be of service.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's also the mindset we think of, like when we get into, I grew up thinking, I'm going to get into the world. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to do what someone tells me to do. And then they're going to give me money. But I think the best mindset is how can you bring the most value? And if you're just coming at that approach, you're going to find yourself being successful.
Yes.
If I'm concerned about not necessarily the paycheck or the money, but if my drive is to how can I add value to the people around me?
Yes.
Eventually that'll turn into a paycheck.
Yes. But it's, when keeping in the theme with bamboo, like, man, that can take a while sometimes.
Sometimes
and
it takes a while.
And that's why it seemingly is not a common stance for people to take of like, how can I be of most value?
Yeah.
Instead it's, I'm here and give me money.
Yep.
Like, gimme.
You talked about the transition of what you want to get rid of, what you need to lose. And that's the survival mode mentality and that, type of operation.
Yeah.
What is that making space for?
It's making space for abundance. That's the short answer, I guess, is in a word, abundance. But it's making space for the legacy piece, to actually building that legacy piece and to building a life that allows my family and I to thrive here and now, but also to lay a foundation for the future. Mm-hmm. Because there's no way I can do that if I'm constantly just stuck in a sense of survival mode, like where it's like take, or like, what can I get from that? If I'm stuck in that, then you can't build with that. Mm-hmm. We talked about value. You can't add value when that's your frame of mind.
Yeah.
So it opens space for value. It opens space for service. It opens space for better stewardship. It opens space for, if I'm being honest, more fun.
Yeah.
We like to have fun.
Absolutely.
But it's really hard to have fun when you're feeling like you're in some elements of survival mode.
Yeah.
And for for the future and for future generations, for the people I won't meet.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Finally, your businesses. If anyone is looking to find those businesses, what are their names? Where do they find them?
Yep. I appreciate that. So the trucking side is Truckers Prorate. You can go to truckersprorate.com. That's where you can find us there and what the services we offer. So if you're in the trucking industry, if you have a fleet, if you have a truck and you're needing help with the licensing side, we can help you out. And then on the coaching side, LukeJohnAnderson.com. John is Jon. That's for me and my personal services as far as coaching and consulting goes.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Great conversation.
Likewise.
Yeah. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
Thanks for listening to The Bamboo Method, Investing in the Unseen. Remember, anything worth building usually takes time. And here's a sneak peek from the next episode.
Sitting literally next to a known terrorist was kind of a mind, I'm trying not to swear in your podcast either.
Yeah.
A mind F, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because if this person was in Iraq, we could just drone strike him or kill him because we know who he is. We know he's a bad guy. But then you sit next to him and you're like, I'm not allowed to kill you.